Hey guys, welcome back to Between the Apexes here with Dr. Speed Lemon, Ryan Lindsay, and Hoggdust. All right, guys, we had our just finished up our GP in Jerez, Andalusia. What'd you guys think?
I thought that, people talked about the sprint races being more dangerous, but it seems to me that all of the biggest issues we're having are at the start. And it doesn't matter if it's a sprint or the full race, everybody wants to get in front. And that's where you seem to see all the crashes. Once we get past that, it seems to be okay. But it was certainly eventful, to say the least.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think?
Dude, both races were awesome. And I'm, KTM guy. They brought it, Danny Pedrosa.
Oh, I know, right? Sixth
Wow,
place finish
dude.
from the 37-year-old Danny Pedrosa.
I think he probably could have done better too, but he can't take chances like the other guys can. If he took somebody out by taking a slightly risky move, then he'd take a raking. But
And technically, to go off of that, his job is to follow a Ducati. And that's what he did. And he needs to figure out where the Ducati's strong, where the KTM's strong, and see how they can improve it. So he's doing his job. Everything just went off. He's doing his job and just kicking butt doing it. I mean, I think this guy is amazing. And we can almost give all the credit to KTM for his ability to come into that project and make it what it is today. So
and he was happy. The team was happy. I mean, just with him in particular, he seems like an awesome guy you'd want to have on your team. He was just as stoked as everybody else on KTM when he did good.
Oh yeah, it was great seeing him back in the field. He's done wonders with the bike, as Brad Binder showed, who did great.
He's got that little gray
yeah.
spot going now that I thought I was like, that's because he's not even that old, but it's like it gives that look of like he's the old veteran climbing out of bed to get on a bike.
I mean, he's had enough surgeries as like most 80-year-olds. So he's
And speaking about Brad Binder, man, Brad and Miller, the way they're just riding the wheels off that KTM.
oh yeah.
Usually
Those
when-
side shots.
Dude, yeah, like usually when you're watching races, like sometimes the front can get boring. But man, those guys were just ripping it the entire time, sliding through the corners. They were messing, they weren't like they're still being aggressive, but they're doing it with style.
Yeah, it kind
Totally
of reminded me
agree.
of the old days with Casey Stoner. Casey Stoner used to slide through every turn and kind of like they're on a dirt track. I feel like those guys kind of have that same thing going for them. They like to slide around every turn. And maybe that's just the way you need to ride the steel frame KTM.
I wondered about that. I wondered if you're going to start seeing more people ride that same way. Now, with that being said, I think they did awesome, but this season so far seems like you could do really good this race and then we'll never hear about you again. Like we don't, aside from Pecco, who seems to be the most consistent, no one else has done really good and then continue to do really good. I hope KTM does, but if they do, both of them, like you said, were sliding those tires out. I thought, man, are we going to start seeing more people doing that if it's actually producing results?
Yeah.
Because it did for them.
I will be shocked if at the French GP we see KTM at the sharp end of the stick. I know it's a similar track as Jerez, it's windy, but it's just a different animal. I don't know. I don't think they'll be there.
I was looking at the data before we came in, and to give you argument for that, Pecco is obviously the complete rider on the complete package, and he's tying it together. So he's very far ahead of everybody at the moment. But if you start looking at who's leading laps and things like that, and you start looking at the numbers, the KTM boys are right there. So they're actually making a huge jump. And they're going to be the guys, so far the past 4 or 5 races, that they're showing that they're being more consistent than everybody else. And consistency is where you get championships, and they're making those jumps.
But you know what? They're not really qualifying that great. They're not at the front. I mean, it doesn't seem to matter the way they launch off the line. But
Really, in Argentina
That was
only.
awesome.
Yeah, that was the coolest race ever. But, that's a low traction track. I don't think they're going to have that issue in France. So,
Okay. Well, Bagnaia, he did awesome. It was a great first place in the main event. He was good to hold on in the second event. I thought Bender trying to catch him was sweet in that main event, the long race.
Bender is so docile in interviews, and then when he's on the bike, he's just ragged, and it's so
He's an
cool
animal.
to see. But anytime he starts talking, he's very composed and casual. No highs and lows, Like Miller's a very highs and lows kind of guy, but Bender's not. But then you see him on the bike, and you're like, it's hard to match those two personalities together.
He's got that little switch that gets over.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
When he gets on a bike, he's a madman.
Visor goes down, he goes kill mode.
But what did you guys think of that? I'm going to call it a hard pass that Pecco did on
Miller.
On Miller, yeah. It was a hard pass, but I don't think it deserved a drop of place position. He didn't make contact. It was clean, you know. How many times have we seen Jorge Martin, Marquez, Johan Zarco do the same kind of hard racing passes?
Lots of people.
And race direction never sticks their foot in there.
Well, you're touching on something that I think is going to be a bigger issue. The whole thing with race direction and how they're doing penalties seems to be hitting a point where I think they even have a meeting that all the riders in France are supposed to go to talk specifically. And Pecco was saying that he wants the stewards to be a part of that because normally they're not. Mm-hmm. So they talk to race direction, but they don't talk to the stewards. And he said, I want them to be there when we talk about so they can explain to us what do we need, what do you allow, what do you not allow, because it's very inconsistent. But I'm with you. I thought, man, that was nothing, Pecco. And Pecco apologized, and, you know, Miller threw up his hand like he was all pissed off, which is still remarkable.
It's just the heat of the moment.
You know, I know, but it's still remarkable in the heat of battle. They're taking their hands off to, like, you know, the handlebars.
Back.
Yeah,
Pecco's like taking a hand back, looking back, waving while they're like
after
full
just passing him. Yeah, in a race. He's like, I'm sorry about that. My bad, man.
Well,
yeah.
I'm going to take a biased angle at this. I think that all of this is coming now that the Golden Boy's not there. There's no Marquez. All of a sudden, these stiff penalties are coming. When Marquez was in there, Rubin's racing. You know, they just let it go. But
well, I would say that you're probably right, but everyone seems to think that Marquez is the instigator for those things, yet the number of crashes have been through the roof while he's been gone. So if you're race direction and you're thinking, man, we're getting raked over the coals for not being strict enough, and now he's gone, and we've got red flag races, we've got how many people went down at Coda? Like 8?
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. I know you think it's something. I think it's inevitable that they're going to be like, we got to figure out the right way, and they're kind of coming off a little too trigger happy right now.
And a lot of the guys that are racing just want consistency.
Yeah.
And that's
just
the
want
issue.
to know what it is.
They don't want favorites.
Nobody knows
They
what
just
it
want
is, so
consistency.
everyone's racing. But if you can blueprint what that needs to be, it will settle a lot of this down.
Yeah, because then everybody will go, hey, well, we all knew the rules and you broke them, so that's what it is. I mean, just like the thing with Fabio. That's another one where, to me, I thought right in the beginning of this. Everyone's bunched together. What is he going to do?
Exactly. That's not a long lap penalty.
Except I could argue that Fabio knew there was 2 guys in front of him, and he's still trying to fit it in between there.
Yeah, but you got all those guys going for the same corner. I mean, it's going to happen. I feel like they could have just restarted the race. No need to tack on any kind of penalty.
Yeah, it's hard to say that Fabio needs to be the one to decelerate in that situation, because would it be the guy who's closer on the inside? Would it be the guy that's on the outside? I mean, if the outside guy's coming in and the inside guy's going out, if everyone just kept their lines, then he probably would have been okay.
Yeah.
But if everyone's lines are changing, and pretty quickly changing when you've got that much of a bunch.
Was it Bez on the inside?
Bez was on the outside, I think. Yeah.
No, Oliveira was on the outside, and that's who touched first. There was Oliveira and Fabio's arm that touched first.
Yeah, so when Oliveira came in, he hit Fabio's arm, which caused the whole thing.
Right.
So that's a racing incident. To me, that's a racing incident.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like Fabio, though, could have just gave a few inches.
But if he hits the brakes and gets asked,
are you a fan of Fabio?
I love Fabio.
Okay, just want to make sure.
No, but I'm just saying, like, he's in a moment where he needs to be as aggressive as possible, and he needs to get up there quickly. And he knows this because his tire's going to heat up. He's going to screw up his pace and everything. But you got to be sensible of what you're doing. And now you caused Oliveira to have a broken shoulder or dislocated shoulder.
Or
like
Oliveira could have gone a little wider in that instead of being so aggressive.
Oliveira would have never saw him in the position where they were lined up.
That's true.
Fabio is the guy that had
his wheel was behind.
He had more control of what that situation was going to be.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you.
I love Oliveira, but man, that guy cannot catch a break.
That's what I was going to say, too.
I keep wanting to see him do something on that.
I want him to get a factory seat when Alicia leaves.
But he just keeps getting knocked down for stuff.
It's awful, man.
It is awful. And he's such a legit guy. I mean, and every time he takes it on the chin and he's like, "Okay, it happens. It's okay. We're all right." But you see him, hobbling and throwing his arm on the bike, and you're like, "My poor guy."
And it's going to take a while to recover. And, every time he gets back on his feet, makes a step, something crazy happens. But that's the risk with running twice the amount of races.
Because we saw Jorge Martin, I forgot who he took out at Coda, but he just wiped somebody out. Race direction didn't say anything.
Was that Marquez that he took out?
I think it might have been Alex Marquez.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
Alex Marquez.
He just wiped him out, and race direction didn't say a thing. So maybe, is it the Spanish riders they're taking it easy on? I don't know.
Oh, now, on that point, though, did you see how packed it was in Spain? I mean, they showed
it was
but even
lot?
the stands, I mean, it was unreal. So in some regard, I started thinking, I was even telling my wife watching that, I thought, you think that the reason they're so big on Spain is because a lot of the riders come from Spain. The people that are running it are from Spain, and Spain seems to have the biggest pool of people. Like, that's where the action is.
Yeah. And the 4 MotoGP tracks.
They have 4 tracks there?
In that little country, yeah.
Then you got to cut them a little bit of
Dorna's
leeway.
Headquarters in Spain, too. so
the Spanish riders get just a little bit
there's a little bit of a bias there.
They weren't cutting Fabio slack at all that race, though. When he did that double long lap penalty and then went outside on the side, and the announcers were like, okay, isn't that even further or an even longer lap penalty if you went out on that side instead of cutting to the inside?
Yeah.
But they're like, nope, that's it. Didn't make it.
You can almost argue, like, Fabio's trying to be safe by being conscious of who's coming.
Mm-hmm. Taking it wide.
So it's like going wide, like that. You can't hold that against them. I feel like that's ridiculous. But, they're going to be like, well, that's the clearest rule in the book. You got to stay in the lines.
Yeah.
But you gotta look away and make sure you're not gonna run into somebody too.
Yeah, and we're nothing if not consistent with our rulings.
They'll get you on that one.
Fabio's doing great. He even though he did 2 long lap penalties, he still finished ahead of Frankie Morbidelli, and who only did 1 long lap penalty. So I mean, it wasn't a bad salvage job.
And he was in front of DG on a Ducati.
Yeah.
Like, if you're on a Ducati
DG
and you got
shouldn't be there.
2 Yamahas with long lap penalties in front of you, like,
I don't think
come on, bro.
Morbidelli should be there though either. To be honest with you,
You know what though? Morbidelli's hanging with Fabio right now.
Right now he is, yeah.
Hanging-
They're qualifying at the same time.
yeah, qualifying but not finishing races anywhere near each other for the most part.
Yeah.
And he, even if he does start doing okay right now, he has a track record with Yamaha of not doing good. And so he should be knocking it out of the park to be compensating for that beginning, as opposed to just kind of getting to where Fabio is, in my opinion. Not that I dislike Morbidelli, but man, you watch that guy all last season and think like, I don't see how you're a factory rider. I just don't like Mir, and I know you like Mir too. But my gosh, that guy crashes all the freaking time.
Mir's going to lose that seat, and if he doesn't,
lose
Honda
the
is
seat.
insane. Like, Honda needs to be putting everything on Pedro Acosta right now.
Pedro's going to KTM.
Are you sure about that?
That's what I heard. 2024, Pedro Acosta.
I would love that, but they can't get rid of Bender or Miller. Like, they got to keep them. But
yeah, he'd probably
I don't
be on
know.
a satellite team. Maybe take Pole's place.
So I've heard other things. I've heard that Pedro is upset what they did to Remy, that KTM, what they did to them, and he refused to ride the KTM MotoGP bike during the test Monday.
Oh,
Really?
Yep.
wow.
So I don't think it's a clear cut. I think neither Yamaha or Honda need to be all over Pedro right now and offering him some crazy money.
But if you're Pedro Acosta, do you really want to go to Repsol Honda in the state that they're in, or even Yamaha for that matter?
I think in the long run, and Honda's going to bounce back.
Yeah, I mean they have a V4 engine.
Well, and don't they say that with Honda you may not get a winning bike, but you'll get money.
Yeah, Repsol
and-
Honda, big money.
Yeah, and so Ducati doesn't pay as much for their riders as Honda does because Ducati's not stressed about it, but Honda pays a lot. So like Marquez is making millions of dollars right now on a losing bike. And Acosta may be looking at that and Honda going, hey, you could get like 300 grand to go to Ducati, or you can get like 5 million. I mean, even Mir's got a multi-million-dollar contract with Honda.
Yeah, and I was telling him earlier, I was like, if you look at the points standing right now, Marquez did 1 race, and he's still ahead of Mir in the points championship right now
Oh man.
on the Honda. I'm like, this is insane. Like, come on, Mir, you just got to finish a race. Like, It's like, put it together.
And we were talking earlier, too, how he just doesn't seem to care that much.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't get really upset. You don't see him mad or pissed off. He's not frustrated at himself. He's not frustrated at the bike. He's just not frustrated.
Yeah.
That last season when I think it was Miller took him out, it shocked me. He was like, well, if Miller hadn't taken me out, I would have gone out on the next lap myself. And you're like, that? How
Yeah, like, why you got to be like that? Like, your goal should be to win, not like when I'm going to go out. Like, you're on a machine to win races.
Every time you come out here, you should think you're going to win and be fighting like hell to win.
And that mindset alone, I don't think you deserve to be in MotoGP. Like, you need to have, like, you're there for your team, and you're there to represent them, and you're there to get that bike on the podium for them. And he's not doing that.
Well, Repsol Honda's not much of a team right now. I mean, Danny Pedrosa has more points than all of Repsol Honda does combined for the entire season. So, I mean...
Well, Danny is amazing, and it's super simple. You know, I was thinking, like, because Lorenzo was there. By the way, Lorenzo is a douchebag. You hear him how he's talking to everybody? Like,
what was
he's
he
interviewing them? He literally went up to Maverick Vinales and was like, "Why are you not fast?" And like held him the mic. Why are you not winning?
You know what? I'd like to know the same thing, man. Matt is on an 8. He's faster in testing. He has multiple times to practice his starts with all these red flags. Like, what's going on? Where is he? Why is he? I mean, I wish Tim was here.
Yeah, he's not here to back him up. So we're gonna trash. We're gonna trash Vinales right now.
Go ahead and throw Alicius Espargaro under the bus too. What are those guys doing, man?
Dude, like I was saying, Maverick Vinales has the talent to be a championship winner. He just can't put it together. And this is what Jorge Martin's going to be like. You know, they got the speed, they got the talent, but they just can't tie it all together. Yeah. And I don't see it happening.
All at the same time, at least.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like Pecco, the dude's magic. Like, he flows. He just, you know, he's got the rhythm. He understands it.
Even this last race, you know, he was trailing behind those KTMs for a while, and you thought, hey, he's... And I was impressed that he was staying with them because they were doing so good, but then all of a sudden he goes, all right, now's when I'm making my move, and went up there and got all the way to the front, and I thought, that's why Pecco is in that position. He is genuinely good. I know he's had a couple of crashes, but, I mean, he is on point. And you see it, someone else he'll be with, they'll break under pressure before he will. They'll go just a hair wide, and he'll snake on the inside.
And when he did that pass on Miller, I saw that as a sign of weakness at first. I'm like, if he has to try that hard to get a pass on the KTM, I'm like, I don't see him beating Bender.
He's outside of his...
Exactly. Like, he was risking a move to make a pass, which is a sign of weakness. But, man, he got the rhythm. He clicked down.
Stuck it, man. He stuck it. Woo-hoo. It was a good pass, though. Riding around the outside of somebody super hard, but then it set him up perfectly for the inside position coming on that next turn.
Yeah. And you have to kind of plan ahead in that position to know that this particular rider goes wide and then cuts in early, because Miller went wide, and so he went on the inside. It's not like Miller was hugging the inside and he tried to squeeze him out. I mean, it was a clear opening, but Miller does that thing where he kind of enters wide, but then cuts in early.
Yeah, and he does the corner exit.
Yeah, a little double apex is what he does. He comes out deep and then comes back and hits the other side of it.
Yeah, and that's what caused the issue, because if you're riding on the bike, same thing, you're thinking, oh, look, it just opened, so I can go for it. Oh, he came back in, and he still apologized.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't like he just kept his head down. I was like, oh, well.
You know, when that happened, I love it when I was watching it because I could see Miller's face. You know,
and without seeing his face.
I know, without seeing his face. So, like, you know, Pecco goes by, and here comes Martin, and you can just see like the fire come out of Miller. You're like, rah! And I was like, oh, here it comes.
Yeah, both of them throwing up their hands. That was awesome.
Like the one time when Miller ran into Mir, when Mir did that to him, he just pulled up next to him and just freaking knocks the crap out of him.
Oh, grabbed his helmet.
That was retribution, though, right there for the move that Mir did on Miller earlier.
Yeah, Mir didn't have to drop a place on that race. Where's the consistency?
No, all of a sudden it's weird. It's race direction starting to like call the races. It's I don't like it. I don't
and
like
overcall the races, I would say. So not just call them, but overcall them. When you could have let that one go, but it's almost like they're concerned that people are thinking they're not doing anything, so now they're doing extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just killing the racing. I don't like it. So what about France, guys? Who's gonna come out top dog in France?
I think Pecco is a safe bet to be somewhere at the top, unless he crashes, which is definitely a possibility with him. Outside of that, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll let you guys go and I'll think about it.
I personally would love to see Joe and Zarco win this race, but it's not going to happen. But
at home, yeah.
I want him to get one race win, and I would love to see him get it because I don't think he's going to be around for much longer, and I think he deserves a win. But Pecco's just going to swamp everybody, I feel like. He got fastest last year as far as getting pole position and all that. He's even better this year, I feel like. So I feel like it's pretty good to say he's going to be up there. And I hate saying this because it's not happening, but I don't see why not. Why Vinales isn't up there, but I'm not even going to throw him in there anymore. And I'm done with it. But I think the KTM guys are going to be strong again.
I hope so.
So I think both of them are going to be in the mix somewhere. But I don't know. It's so hard. I expected Fabio to do well, and look how bad he did in Jerez. I'm like, what is happening?
Doesn't it seem like all the races, it's just kind of topsy-turvy, too? It makes it. That's what's making it so hard for me to pick somebody, because I can't think of somebody that I see on a continuous trend upwards where I'd say they're probably going to do well. Even Rins just knocked it out of the park at Coda and then is kind of off the map for the very next race.
The Honda's built for Coda. I think, personally, I feel like the Honda's built for Coda.
I feel like Rins is better on big tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Rins will win Silverstone. I think those bigger, more taxing tracks, that's where he shines. Le Mans not going to be like that. I just don't know who should do well.
Well, for Le Mans, I'm going to put Pecco at number 1 for obvious reason. Complete rider.
Yeah, that's a
package.
simple one at this moment.
I'm going to say, and I hardly ever do this, but I'm going to say Maverick Vinales is going to be second place. He likes us in. He likes that track. He likes his bike. If he's not on the podium, it's because...
Bad start.
Yeah, he just bad health, or he's in his head, or something happened. Someone hit him, and now he can't get over it. But I feel like he'll be second. And I'm going to put Fabio as number 3, because simply and only because France, Le Mans is suited to the Yamaha. I feel like the Yamaha goes well there.
Yeah.
Do you think he has more experience on that track too, just being local to him?
I don't know, because
I don't think he's really local.
He grew up in Spain more than France, but I feel like maybe the hometown thing. His parents will be there, family there. But that's going to be my 1, 2, and 3. I think it's going to be Pecco, Maverick, and Fabio.
Let me throw it in there. I'll do my 1. So Pecco 1. I'm going to put Zarco 2, just because I think this is his swan dance right now. And then I want to put one of the KTM boys on 3. Either one of them.
Who was your second one?
I'm going to go with Zarco. I just feel like he has to do it.
I think he certainly could. I like your picks. I'm going to match your picks.
Yeah, and Maverick should be in there. Maverick should be toe-to-toe right now with Pecco, but he doesn't have consistency.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Rins is up there. I don't think Rins is going to be up there, but I want Rins to be up there. So if I could switch one of those out for a wishful or a hope, that I would go for Rins as my other one.
Yeah, I don't want Maverick to be there, but I'm just going off of just completely being stoic about it. I think he's going to be there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it was a good episode, right?
I know we didn't get to make fun of Marquez. I was kidding.
What is there to make fun of about Marquez?
Is Marquez coming? Is he going to be at Le Mans?
I don't know. Mackie was saying that he doesn't think he's going to be, or that he could still be hurt.
Just from a broken finger?
I thought that was kind of odd too, but I will say that in watching Marquez, and I'm a fan of Marquez. I watch him pretty close. He seems very hell-bent on fighting this season. I think you saw it at the very end of last season when he had that skirmish and hit Nakagami and Fabio. Mm-hmm. I think he feels so much better than he's felt in so long after that surgery, that the idea is back in his mind that he could actually win, and not just a race. I think he's thinking, I could win a championship. So he's going, if you think that this is going to ruin my chances of a championship, I'm not doing it. He kept saying that. If 3 doctors tell you not to do it, you don't do it. And I think it's because he knows, or in his mind, he's thinking, this is about the championship. This is about the championship. And right now, with everyone switching who's been up there, and with all of these races, anybody could win this championship.
No one's really running away with it. So
I think Pecco's starting to run away
with it.
Starting to, but I don't know. I think that's crazy. A broken finger is going to take him out of 3 races. That's just
It happens, and he's being guided by the doctors right now, and he's learned his lessons, obviously.
Yes.
So he's going to take his time. Otherwise, he's going to lose the entire year.
Yeah.
And is Anea going to be there?
I think Anea's going to be there, but he might pull out because he still has those shoulder issues.
Oh, man, he was hurting big time. And you could just see it on his face. And I kept thinking, they're telling Marquez no for his hand and telling Bastianini, get on the bike. And he's like...
half his back is gone.
Yeah.
You could see him in pain.
Yeah, Anea's going to be the only guy to really bring it to Pecco eventually. But it might be about 4 races in from now.
You think so? Mm-hmm. I'm really curious to see how his consistency is. I think he absolutely has the ability. I'm really curious to see once he's par to par with Pecco and Pecco's putting him down. His consistency is just incredible. I'm curious to see if Bastianini can match that.
Yeah, I think Bastianini is one of those guys that has the natural ability to be fast really late in the race, and at some point when it starts to click, I think that's going to be the lead Ducati guy.
Like he'll transition and start taking over?
Yeah, he's going to be the guy. But, huge letdown first race. He didn't get the chance to really develop the bike, learn, understand. So he's got a ton of weight against him. In a way, that's good for Pecco because that gives Pecco the ability to be that number 1 guy and show why he should be there. So it gets rid of that Italian feud in Ducati.
And that direct competition so that he can just do his own thing, which is probably good for him mentally before Bastianini enters and starts going toe-to-toe.
And then when that starts to happen, I think Bastianini's going to be the stronger guy.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we have a lot to look forward to in Le Mans. Thanks for watching Between the Apexes. Stay tuned, everybody.